I think we probably have time for one more talk before a break. We'll take a break maybe a little bit earlier than we had scheduled so people can get up and move around. The next is Don Knuth.
So, yes, I have to say that John was one of the most important influences on my life. Certainly in the top 10, I'm not sure exactly what rating. I'll try to say things that other people haven't said because since he was so important, I could go on and on. And the first thing you lose when you get tenure is the sense of time. So first of all, reflecting on what other people said, well, one of the first, I came to Stanford at the end of middle of 1969, and he was up at the A.I.Lab up on the hill, and I was down in Polio Hall, so we didn't, see each other an awful lot. I remember that first year we did have a 2-hour public debate about how to define semantics of programming language. But that wasn't an important thing for me because, as they mentioned, John loves to debate, but I shun all kind of controversy. So, but the next time I remember was on Memorial Day in 1971. When John had a programming race. It was called the Memorial Day Programming Race. Next year we had the second annual Memorial Day Programming Race, but I'm not sure if it ever went on anymore. But now, as I came here today, I noticed that it said, oh, they will be speaking without slides. But I did scan something about the Memorial Day Programming Race. If any of you are interested in looking up the details of it, some of the things were in John's handwriting, but the idea was that you would open up an envelope containing a problem at a certain time, and you would note down the time, and then he had a complicated scoring system for how you would do it, but basically it counts as 1 minute until you get to your terminal, and then 2 minutes while you're thinking, and I mean twice the number of minutes of thinking, and at the end 50 times the number of minutes of computer time in your most in your 3 best runs or anything like that. And this problem it's all stated in the document you can find on the internet if you go to my news page, and then you look for something that's called what is it? Flash from the past or something like that. So the details are on there, and I decided to enter the contest, although I was down on campus, but there were 50 other people up at the A.I.Lab competing. Now down on the campus. Well, I had used punch cards the first year that I was at Stanford, but by that time we had terminals, so I could log in through, and we could use IBM mainframe with very arcane instructions, but we could use it from in a batch processing mode, and we could say run this job using JCL and all kinds of things, and so the log of my programming it is also on the web there. And well, to make a long story short, I won the contest, but not necessarily because I had the best system, which was certainly terrible by comparison to what people at the A.I.Lab had. But instead of having this 1 second delay time that Ed mentioned, or 3 seconds in the SAGE system, it turned out that when you have 50 people all trying to work on a contest, the time-sharing system collapsed completely. So. And I also had the advantage of a wonderful offline debugging system invented by my student Ed Satterthwaite. So anyway, I got the problem solved in 2 hours, and it was a lot of fun. Now I went up to the A.I.Lab. Okay, so I went up to the A.I.Lab for the entire year of my sabbatical, and that's what I want to specialize mostly. I say mostly that was the year that I developed the tech system for typesetting, and in many ways that system would never ever have ever existed if it weren't for John. In the first place, there was an XGP up there at Sale, which showed us that you can make documents with bits. Leland Smith was up there. I was talking to him about how to typeset music in such a way, and so that page turns would come at a good time. We had the data disk terminals. We had the Sale programming language and a Bale debugger, and many other things which made it the only place in the world, I think, where it would have been possible to develop such a system. So I have to thank him very much for that, which was influenced yet another dimension. While I was there, I noticed that although John was such a fan of electronic things, he had printed out all of the emails that he had ever written. And in his office, he had a pile of printed emails that was taller than I was. Also, I have to thank Martin Frost for the existence of tech. One more quick anecdote is that John was that was also the year when the tragic death of Vera in the mountain in Nepal, and I just wanted to mention that at that time, I think John was the only person in the world for which it was appropriate to send condolences via email for such an event. I mean, just to imagine how, because nobody else would have thought it was email for a personal thing. In the years since then, he would call me up once a week. Once a month, let's say, each time about an orthogonally different problem in mathematics. He was ranging over all these things throughout his life. So I just want to say, John, you were one of the most important influences ever. Thanks.
We're going to have a short intermission.